The camera was recording. The toddler was walking, and in less than 3 minutes, everything could have gone terribly wrong. When Sarah Mitchell finally saw the security footage later that afternoon, her knees went weak. She had to sit down on the couch because her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold her phone steady enough to watch the screen. Because what Cooper did in those crucial moments while she was just 30 feet away, standing in the driveway talking to a neighbor about a broken fence, changed how she understood everything about the dog they'd rescued 2 years ago. Before we reveal what happened, if you, like me, love dogs and babies, subscribe to see cameras capturing emotional moments like this one. Sarah Mitchell had her routine down to a science by now. Her husband David worked construction, which meant early mornings that started before sunrise and long days that stretched into evening. He left the house at 6 that morning for a job site in Tempe, wouldn't be back until after 6 that evening. Sarah worked from home as a freelance graphic designer, which gave her flexibility, but also meant constantly juggling client calls and deadlines with raising their 1-year-old daughter, Lily. It was a Tuesday afternoon in Phoenix, late September, and the heat was finally starting to ease up as 4 o'clock rolled around. Still warm, but not the brutal midday temperatures that made everything shimmer. Lily had been running around all morning like a tiny tornado. That's what 1-year-olds do when they figure out walking. They just go. Constantly. Everywhere. The girl had mastered it about 2 months ago, and now she toddled everywhere with this determined little waddle, arms held out slightly for balance. Completely fearless about where she was headed or what might be in her way, she'd climb on anything she could reach, try to grab everything that caught her eye, and had absolutely zero concept of danger or consequences. Sarah had baby-proofed the house within an inch of its life. Corner guards on every sharp edge. Outlet covers on every socket. Cabinet locks on anything that opened or closed. But Lily still managed to find new and creative ways to give her mother heart attacks on a daily basis. Around 3:30 that afternoon, Lily finally crashed hard. She'd been playing with her wooden blocks in the living room for the better part of an hour, stacking them up carefully and then knocking them down with squeals of delight, laughing every single time like it was the funniest thing in the world. Then she just stopped, mid-stack, rubbed her eyes with her tiny fists, and started getting that fussy whine that Sarah had learned meant nap time was overdue. Sarah knew the signs by heart now. She grabbed the soft foam mat they kept specifically for Lily's afternoon naps and laid it out on the living room floor near the couch. Lily loved that spot. She could see the whole room from there, felt secure, and the ceiling fan kept it comfortable. Sarah laid her daughter down gently with her favorite stuffed rabbit, the one with the floppy ears that Lily dragged everywhere she went. Within 5 minutes, Lily was out cold, one arm flung over her head, the other clutching the rabbit's ear. Cooper had been there the whole time, like he always was. They'd adopted him from a golden retriever rescue organization 2 years ago when he was 3 years old. The family who'd had him before got transferred overseas and couldn't take him with them. The shelter coordinator said he was gentle, calm. Great with kids if they ever decided to have any. Perfect for families. They weren't lying. Cooper had this quiet, steady presence that was instantly calming. He wasn't hyper or demanding like some dogs. He didn't need constant attention or entertainment. He just existed peacefully near them, watching the household move around him, waiting patiently for nothing in particular except maybe the chance to be useful. When Lily came along a year ago, Cooper's entire energy shifted noticeably. He became her shadow. Wherever she went, he followed within a few feet. When she slept, he positioned himself nearby where he could see her, always watching, always ready. A particular afternoon, Cooper was lying about 6 feet from Lily's mat, his golden head resting on his paws, eyes half closed, but not quite asleep. That in-between state where dogs look completely relaxed but are actually monitoring everything happening around them. Sarah checked her phone. 4:05. She had 45 minutes before her next client call. Lily would probably sleep for an hour, maybe longer if Sarah was lucky. Perfect window of time. She needed to catch Mark from next door about their shared fence. A monsoon storm the week before had knocked part of it loose, and they needed to coordinate getting it fixed before the next round of weather came through. Sarah walked to the front door, grabbed her keys from the hook just in case, and looked back one more time. Lily was sound asleep, chest rising and falling peacefully. Cooper hadn't moved from his spot. The house was quiet except for the steady hum of the ceiling fan. Sarah stepped outside onto the porch, leaving the front door open just a crack so she could hear if Lily woke up crying. Their house was small enough that any real noise would carry easily from inside to the driveway. Mark was already outside, pulling bags of groceries from his trunk. "Hey Mark, you got a minute to talk about the fence?" They started discussing the damage in detail. Which section had taken the worst hit? Whether they should hire someone to fix it properly or try to tackle it themselves and save some money. Whether they needed to replace the whole panel or just reinforce the posts that had come loose. Normal neighbor conversation that could stretch on for a while. Sarah kept one ear tuned to the house the whole time, listening carefully for any sound from inside that might mean Lily was awake. Everything stayed quiet. She relaxed a little. Lily was a good sleeper when she finally went down. Inside the house, Cooper's ears twitched slightly. His head came up slowly from his paws, eyes opening fully. He stared directly at Lily's mat where she lay sleeping. She was stirring now. Her arm moved, her head turned to the side. Not crying yet. Not making any noise that would alert Sarah outside. Just moving in that way. That meant she was transitioning from deep sleep to waking up. Cooper stood up quietly, stretching his back legs one at a time, and walked closer to her mat. He sat down again about 3 feet away, waiting patiently, watching her closely. Lily's eyes opened. She blinked several times, slow and groggy the way toddlers are when they wake up in the middle of the afternoon. Where was Mommy? She sat up slowly, still clutching her stuffed rabbit in one hand, looking around the empty living room with confused, sleepy eyes. She saw Cooper sitting there watching her, and her face broke into a smile. Cooper's tail did a small thump-thump against the floor in response. Lily pushed herself up to standing, wobbling just a little bit as she found her balance. She was still half asleep, operating on that dreamy toddler autopilot where they just wander around without much thought or destination. She took a few unsteady steps toward the kitchen, her bare feet making soft padding sounds on the cool tile floor. Cooper stood up immediately, not rushed or panicked, just purposeful and alert. He followed her, keeping close enough to intervene if she stumbled or fell. His entire body language shifted from relaxed to vigilant in an instant. Lily walked through the kitchen, past the table where her high chair sat, past the counter where Sarah had left dishes drying in the rack. She saw the sliding glass door that led to the backyard. It wasn't fully closed. Sarah had opened it earlier that morning to let fresh air flow through the house before turning on the AC, then closed it again, but it hadn't latched properly. There was about a 6-inch gap, just wide enough for little fingers to fit through and push. Lily reached the door and pushed against it with both hands. The door slid open smoothly on its track. Bright afternoon light poured into the kitchen, warm and inviting after the dimmer interior. She stepped outside onto the patio, her eyes squinting slightly as they adjusted to the brightness. Cooper was right behind her immediately. No hesitation whatsoever, no pause to consider. He moved through the door before it could slide shut on its own. His entire focus locked on Lily. The backyard was quiet and still in the late afternoon. The pool water sparkled invitingly in the sun, little ripples catching the light and throwing dancing reflections across the concrete patio. Lily had seen the pool before many times, always from the safety of Mommy's arms or from inside the house looking through the window. But never like this. Never at her own level. Never this close. Never alone. She walked toward it with that determined toddler walk, drawn by the bright blue water. Fascinated by the way the light danced and shimmered on the surface, it looked so pretty. She wanted to see it up close. Cooper walked alongside her at first, his body tense and alert, watching her every movement. Lily kept heading straight toward the pool edge, her small legs carrying her forward with single-minded determination. Just a few more steps, and she'd be at the edge where the concrete met the water. Cooper's eyes stayed locked on that distance, closing between Lily and danger. 3 feet away now. 2 feet. He had to act. He moved in closer, positioning himself right beside her, and with careful precision that only years of gentle instinct could provide. He opened his mouth and caught the back of Lily's shirt between his teeth. Not hard, not biting. Just gripping the fabric firmly the way a mother dog carries puppies. Then Cooper pulled. He pulled backwards with steady, controlled force, tugging Lily away from the pool edge. Her forward momentum stopped instantly. Her little legs, still trying to walk toward the water, suddenly had nothing beneath them as Cooper lifted slightly while pulling back. She went down. Not hard. Not a dangerous fall, but sudden enough that she landed on her bottom on the warm concrete with a soft thump, her legs splaying out in front of her in surprise. The stuffed rabbit she'd been holding flew from her hand and landed a few feet away. For a split second, Lily just sat there, too shocked to react. Her mouth opened in a little O of surprise. What just happened? Why was she sitting down? Where did the pretty water go that she was trying to reach? Cooper immediately released her shirt and stood right there beside her, his body between her and the pool, his head lowered as if checking to make sure she was okay. Then it hit her. The confusion, the frustration, the tiredness still lingering from her nap. The sudden stop when she wanted to keep going. She started crying. Not hurt, not scared. Just completely overwhelmed by this moment she didn't understand. Her cry wasn't loud at first. A whimper, a protest. It built quickly, escalating into a full-blown wail within just a few seconds. That piercing toddler cry that carries across distances and triggers every parental alarm. Cooper stayed right there, standing over her protectively, not moving away from his post between Lily and the water even as she cried. His tail didn't wag. His body remained tense and focused. The job wasn't done just because she'd stopped moving forward. He needed to keep her away from that edge. He lowered his head toward her, sniffing gently, offering what comfort he could while maintaining his position. But Lily's wails only got louder, echoing across the backyard and carrying through the still afternoon air. Sarah heard it instantly. She was right in the middle of a sentence with Mark, something about whether they should go with cedar or composite for the fence repair, when Lily's cry cut through the air like a siren. Her head snapped toward the house. That's not inside the house. That's outside. That's the backyard. Her stomach dropped like she'd missed a step in the dark. She bolted without another word, leaving Mark standing there holding his phone, confused and calling after her, asking if everything was okay. She ran through the front door she'd left cracked open, through the living room where Lily's empty mat lay abandoned. Empty. No Lily. No Cooper. Her heart seized in her chest. Where is she? The sliding door. She sprinted toward the back of the house. Already knowing, already seeing it in her mind. The door was wide open, and there, out on the patio in the late afternoon sun, was Lily, sitting on the concrete, crying, and Cooper, standing directly over her, his body positioned protectively between her daughter and the pool that sat just feet away, his head low and watchful, his eyes still locked on the water behind him. Sarah's legs nearly gave out as the full picture hit her. The open door. Lily outside, alone. The pool, the distance, how close, how easily. She rushed forward and scooped Lily up into her arms, holding her tight against her chest, feeling her daughter's little body shake with sobs. "It's okay, baby. Mommy's here. It's okay." She looked at Cooper, who hadn't moved from his position, who was still standing guard even though Sarah had arrived. His eyes met hers, and in that moment she understood with absolute clarity what had almost happened and what Cooper had done to prevent it. Her hands were still shaking that evening when she pulled up the security camera footage. David had gotten home from work and was giving Lily her bath upstairs when Sarah sat down with her laptop. She needed to see it, needed to know exactly what happened in those minutes she'd been outside. The footage showed everything. Lily waking up, walking to the door, going outside, walking toward the pool with that fearless toddler confidence, and Cooper. Cooper walking beside her, watching, calculating, waiting for the exact right moment, then catching her shirt, pulling her back, Lily falling safely onto her bottom. The crying. Cooper standing guard. Sarah watched it 3 times in a row, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't breathe properly. Her chest felt tight, because she understood now what she'd almost lost, and she understood what Cooper had saved. If this story made your heart race, leave a comment sharing your own close call with your pet. And subscribe to Camera Caught Stories for more incredible moments caught on camera. Share this with a dog lover who needs to see this.